Hey, this is Hawkeye. If you follow us on Instagram at Hawkeye on Air, you know we just got back from a great trip to New Mexico and Colorado, equipped by our friends at Sun and Ski Sports. But now it's getting a little bit warmer. We want to go outside and enjoy our bikes a little bit. So we're taking my wife's bike into Sun and Ski Sports for a checkup, make sure we're ready for the spring season. So let's head on out. So we're with Tony here at Sun and Ski. Now, Tony, this is kind of interesting because I've brought bikes in before to be fixed, maintained. They're usually bikes I've had for a long time, and I'm getting all sorts of things fixed up. But this bike is less than a year old, and you've looked at it and you said, wow, I can tell you guys need to have it adjusted. Why is that a bike that's so new?
Well, after a while with the new bicycle, things have got to settle in. Usually your spokes, bearings, and things like that will just start to have a little bit of play in it.
Okay.
And if you keep riding it that way, it'll actually damage some parts. So we're here today to basically tighten everything up.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you this. Is that part of the adjustment when you buy a bike at Sun and Ski Sports?
Absolutely. We call that a 12-point check over. That way everything is super safe by the time it leaves it one more time.
All right, well, let's do a little check over here.
Very good.
So, Tony, yeah, you're saying this was pretty obvious when I brought it in. You're like, oh, yeah, I could tell this is settled or it needs to be adjusted?
Correct, yes. And to determine that, we squeeze the front brakes, rock it just a little bit. And basically, your bearing assembly here in what's called the headset had a little bit of play. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to uncinch the stem, retension the actual boat to put everything back together. Okay?
Cool. All right, what are you checking down there?
What I'm doing right here is checking the actual axle mechanism. We call that the quick release mechanism to make sure that this has settled in to where it's not too terribly loose. And it's fine, but we do want a little bit more tension than this. So I'm going to tighten down the opposing nut on this side here to create that tension. Now we can put our hand into it and cinch it down.
That's one of the few things I know how to fix.
Okay, awesome.
You don't need a tool to do that one. I've fixed that many times on my bike, yeah. What are we checking here?
We're checking the alignment of the brakes to make sure that the pads are not touching. So on this particular bike here, everything looks balanced. And I'll double check that by squeezing the brakes and looking for the movement equally on both sides. That's fantastic. Front, perfect.
All right.
And then now, the most vital part of it, we're going to check the actual gears.
Okay.
What happens here, the cables will stretch.
Oh, really?
Yes. And that could knock the gear system out of sync just a little bit. So we're going to double check that initially before I do any adjustments. I hear a little bit of noise, so we do need to retension the cable. And to do that is wanting to jump. We're going to take the adjusting barrel to create tension. It's wanting to jump. Here we go. Now it's adjusting.
Oh, okay. How did you do that? What did you do?
I turned the adjusting barrel right here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That separates this brake housing from the inner cable to create that tension.
Okay.
Cable. I'm going to back the tension off of it. Like that. Then I can actually drop grease down inside the actual cable housing.
Oh, cool.
Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing with the actual front. That way it'll shift smooth all the time. Along with lubing that chain.
Now we're going to check the pedals here?
Correct. Make sure those are nice and snug. See how much movement?
Yeah.
All right. Same thing on the other side. Put the stands back here.
Oh, wow.
Nice and tight.
Yeah. Boy, it's amazing how much stuff needs to be adjusted on a bike after, a year.
After about a year, it's that initial seed-in time. Afterwards, after another year or so, it's everything should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that you'll notice here, there's a lot of grease there on the shocks, and you're cleaning that off. I thought you should leave that on, but you want to clean that off?
You want to definitely remove that, and the reason being is it's attracting a lot of the dirt. So this is a process what we call weeping. There's oil and grease on the inside part of what we call the stanchion of the floor. As this part right here is covered, it's then removed under recoil, and it exposes some of that lubricant, the dirt, gets onto it,
I think
and not a
takes it
bad
back
thing,
in.
but we do want to clean it off.
So how do you relube? Do you relube the shocks every now and then?
Well, how we relube it, we basically take like a zip tie and we go in between the rubber seal and this inner stanchion, and I'll put a couple of drops of oil in there to keep the seals nice and moist.
Okay. Oh, cool. I see you're using the same lube too that you use on the.
Correct, yes.
Chain.
What I enjoy using is Tri-Flow. This stuff is fantastic. It's great for a little bit of everything. Use a zip tie, separate the seal from the inner leg.
I see.
It's got a little bit of a gap in there, and I'll put a couple of drops in there. And the idea behind that is to coat and keep that seal nice and moist.
Okay.
Done.
Cool.
Just like that.
Again, using a zip tie to just create a little space in there, and then dropping a little lube for the front shocks. There you go. Good to go.
Okay, there we go. It's all buttoned down and she's ready to ride.
There we go. Let's take it out.
All righty.